The long-awaited roadmap for Saints Row's downloadable content was finally revealed. We've all been waiting for this, the hype is real. Saints Row is saved. I'm just kidding, let's see what this is about. We're super excited to be able to share an update on what we've been working on since you last heard from us. But first, a big thank you to everyone reaching out on our social channels. We really appreciate all your feedback since launch, and we have tried to incorporate what we can into our future quality of life updates, which we are incredibly excited for you to get your hands on. Oh, I'm just waiting for that shit. As you know, we've been focusing on fixes and quality of life improvements ahead of releasing our new content. Our last update was a whopper worthy of FBs, and we're ready to deliver an even bigger meal for our next update. So what have we been up to since then? Well, we've been working hard on brand new Saints Row content, and we're ready to share what's planned for the future. Let's head into our DLC roadmap. Oh, I can't wait. Let's see what they have planned for us. First up, coming next month, is this Dead Island 2 promotional cosmetic pack. Finally, that Dead Island Easter egg in Saints Row 4 comes to fruition. Can you believe this game was supposed to come out in early 2015? Where does the time go? Well, the development of Dead Island 2 has been plagued with issues ranging from delays, developer swaps, and a leaked alpha build. Deep Silver is involved, so you know it can't be that good, but we'll see how it goes for them. It's common for publishers to cross-promote, but I'm still going to assume Deep Silver is completely abandoning all support for Saints Row to instead promote one of their other games before the transition to Gearbox is complete. If you want further proof that Deep Silver does not give a rat's ass about Saints Row anymore, look at how they chose to announce these expansions after months of keeping their expansion pass holders waiting.
April, everyone gets a free Dead Island 2 cosmetic pack coming in May, free for all players, new district, combat overhaul, and more for expansion pass holders, the Heist and the Hazardous, missions, events, and more. July brings a free update, new features, improvements, and more.
Okay, I can't believe this is fucking real. Rather than make a video with a prominent member of the development team to announce these major updates they have planned, they released this video that looks like it came out of a Hindi content farm focused on random data mine game news. A poorly edited piece of shit video that has an AI voice read their announcement. I wouldn't be surprised if an AI wrote the blog post too.
August brings even more free content, new district, new features, improvements, and more. And with the expansion pass there, new story missions, enemies, cosmetics, and more.
I don't care whether or not this is a tiny announcement and they don't really have anything to say yet. No self-respecting studio would let an AI advertise their work. That's some shit you'd see in a third world country mobile game. I know I'm making a big deal out of this little TikTok video, but it really does feel like they're testing the waters with this kind of computer-generated advertising to see if they can get away with it. It's basically going to become modern-day spam, and it will be unavoidable. If this just ends up being a joke, then it's incredibly tone-deaf. Not only because AI is a very real threat to many of their jobs within their own industry, but also because their game was launched in a broken state. It's still buggy even now, and it feels like they've cut a lot of corners with this game. And so when I see this little AI-generated announcement for their major quality of life updates, I can't help but feel it's the perfect representation of the utter soulless state of their series. But enough about those artificial existential threats, let's get to the real stuff. In May, they'll be releasing the Heist and the Hazardous, a major DLC pack with missions, events, cosmetics, and more. I wonder if the events are going to be like Agents of Mayhem contracts, just nagging little messages that tell you to kill 10 enemies with a melee weapon. So much fun. 2 of the packs will be extensions to the main Saints Row campaign. Ooh. Following the continuing adventures of the Saints and their enemy factions. The continuing adventures. Like whatever this shit is, like, oh, new content, yay, new Saints Row content, oh, they're doing all this stuff, yay. And then it's like, oh yeah, the continuing adventures of the Saints. These guys right here. This whole thing continues. This continues right here. The worst campaign I've ever played in my life continues. Set in all new districts too, that's kinda cool. I'm happy that we're getting new maps, but guys, Santo Ileso was pretty heavily underutilized, don't you think? I didn't really expand on that in my review because I was just so fucking shocked by the campaign being so horrible. But yeah, the map was pretty underutilized. But the good news is that these districts will be part of the free update for all players along with photo mode, combat overhaul,
and more.
Oh, do go on, Volition, please. What combat overhaul do you have in store? Please give us a detailed video explaining what the overhaul is, why it's necessary. Really sell us on this thing. Give us some deep insight into this whole combat thing you're doing. And one pack will introduce an all-new solo game mode experience with an even more twisted version of one of our favorite areas of Santo Ileso. Okay, you have to kind of like examine this sentence just a little bit. Solo game mode experience. They're selling that as a feature. Like, ooh, solo game mode experience. Haha. What this translates to is no co-op. What this translates to is our busted ass co-op system will not work with this mode. And so we're trying to sell it to you as a solo game mode experience. Part of this game mode was already featured in the base game. They just never used it. So maybe it was cut for time and now they're trying to resell it as a feature or something. Solo game mode experience. What happened to multiplayer, by the way? Boot Hill Island was so underutilized for something so pivotal in the main campaign. It makes sense for them to expand on it more, but I see this as less of an expansion and more of them reselling cut content. Content that would have really given this area of the map a greater sense of completeness, and not just a one-off thing for a mission. Kind of like this last story expansion, Expansion 3. It obviously looks like it'll be the continuing adventures of the Saints and their LARPing escapades. The LARPing theme and whether or not something like that even belongs in a Saints Row game aside, I felt like it was a nice solid 3-piece set of missions that had a nice tight self-contained story arc and conclusion to them. Boot Hill Island would have benefited from a similar self-contained structured story arc. Basically anything that isn't the main campaign will be to this game's benefit. The problem is that out of everything this game could have possibly done with these characters in this world, the only other stories Saints Row had to offer were those LARPing missions. Which, as always with Saints Row, is the game's attempt at desperately trying to be a completely different game than what it is. Volition really doesn't like Saints Row, but that's the only other title they have that brings them any attention, and so they're throwing whatever they can at it and hope it sticks. These themes would have never made any sense in the old games. They barely make sense now, but that's the angle Volition chose to go with. It's hard to walk this back. It was impossible to walk back what they did to the original series, and so they rebooted things. But now they've found themselves in an even worse place. The original series at least had a solid foundation of characters that made their later iterations tolerable at best. This new crew and their origin story suck so hard, there's no way I feel even the slightest bit of hype about their upcoming heist. I can only imagine the main antagonist for the plot will have a little puppet on his hand and that's the real mastermind of the story. So we told you about the new DLC, but what you don't know is just how much work we put into the main game for everyone. Quality of life updates, more to be revealed, free for all players. Man, you're going to keep hearing this from them over and over and over. Quality of life, quality of life, quality of life updates. What the fuck does that mean? I don't think they even know what that means. We're delivering some great improvements to the existing game. New district, more to be revealed, more to be revealed. Quality of life, quality of life, quality of life, quality of life, more to be revealed. I don't know, to me that implies, like when they keep saying every update we release, we're going to increase the quality of life. It's like, okay, well, wouldn't that be kind of redundant to say? If you're going to release an expansion, you don't have to say quality of life. Unless you're trying to say, yes, there's going to be a lot of bugs in everything we release. And so we're going to have to increase the quality of life every iteration of an update. People have been asking me whether or not I think these expansions will save Saints Row, and my answer is a hard no. If you don't like that LARPing stuff, you can consider Expansion 3 dead in the water. They can expand the map all they want, but you'll still be left with an underutilized base map. The only way they can save this is if they pull another Saints Row 4. With all the work building the map done, all the work building the mechanics done, they can just tweak things for the better and give us an entirely new campaign completely separate from what we had to play. Other than that, Saints Row is done. Okay, well, that's all I have to say. I know you guys love to leave comments about the latest Saints Row news. So yeah, leave a comment. I'm sure some people are excited about this despite everything, and that's fine. I'd love to hear a different perspective on things. This just happens to be mine. I really am curious how well they can fix this game and if they can fix it in time for those theoretical mod tools. If I even dedicate any time to modding this game at all, I'd at least hope the base game wasn't a total mess. Anyway, give that subscribe button a little clickety-click and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
You're my Hitler. Hey, Olivia, my Hitler.
Flip
Hey,
Gilma Hitler.